Hi everyone, it's Rax. Today I put together the Patterns of Justice Tempest Rush Monk and tried to push rank 1 on the leaderboards, and we finally got it down. Let me walk you through and show you how this build will change with the 4th cube slot, and it's a little bit complicated and I will have a full guide on it coming out, but it will explain to you how you're going to win here. So there are quite a few things to pay attention to, so where do we really begin? Let's start with Shenlong. So normally the Patterns of Justice Tempest Rush Monk has to use Wan Kim Lao as a weapon, which is a one-hander. And usually with that you use an Azure Wrath, because an Azure Wrath rolls cold elemental damage. But the only one of those two weapons you really actually need is the Wan Kim Lao. We can put that in the 4th cube slot, and now we can wear Shenlongs, which got buffed to be a 350% multiplier, which is a tremendous damage increase. So now we have to learn to play this build with Shenlongs, and it can be a lot of things to manage, but if you like this playstyle and you think you can pull it off, it's going to be one of the strongest builds in the game. So what the Shenlong's buff does is when you reach maximum spirit, it's going to drain all of your spirit very quickly, and during that window, all damage that you deal will be increased by 350%. So Tempest Rush in general, you channel Tempest Rush to build up 100 stacks of Flurry, and then you detonate that on your cold cycle of Convention of the Elements with a blind, which gives you an 800% multiplier from your bracers. And now on top of all of that, we're going to make sure that we hit maximum spirit in our cold cycle to also trigger Shenlongs. So we're going to get the blind, we're going to get the Convention of the Elements and the Shenlongs in the same time, and we're just going to deal massive explosions as you see me doing right here. So let's go through a rotation right here and let's explain how it goes. So my Shenlong's just activated and it drained my spirit. Now I'm channeling Tempest Rush. I'm building stacks. Right now I'm at about 35. My spirit is almost full, so I'm spamming my mantra to make sure it doesn't go full. Then when we get into cold, I want it to go up all the way. There it is. I blind and I release it for a gigantic damage increase. It was the blind, the Shenlong's procced, and we were on our cold Convention of the Elements cycle. So that's what I keep rinsing and repeating here over and over and over. Channel all the way through. Spam your mantra just so your spirit doesn't get full until you get to cold. When the Shenlong's procs on cold, blind, and then release Tempest Rush for the big damage. So besides that, there are a lot of things that can go wrong in this build. One of the rings that you should use when you first start is Unity for 50% damage reduction, because this build is squishy. Without the Unity, you're going to be very sorry. If you take Unity, it means you can't take Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, which means that your Epiphany will have some downtime. You see my number 1 just came off there. And Epiphany having some downtime actually means a lot of bad things for you. The first thing it means is you will be susceptible to crowd control in that moment. And that means knockbacks or vortex or wormhole. I mean, wormhole anyway, but all that kind of stuff. If you get moved away from channeling your Tempest Rush ever, you lose all of your flurry stacks and you lose all of your damage. The way we combat this is I have cooldown essentially on every piece of gear except for my 2 rings. I actually have perfect cooldown on every single piece except for my 2 rings. And that will give you enough time when your Epiphany goes down to cast Serenity. So that will make up that missing window of crowd control immunity so you can keep your flurry stacks up. And that's pretty much the build. Another thing we have to look out for while we're playing is we need to be afraid of monsters with gigantic hitboxes, like an Armadon or a tree, for example, because for some reason when you get close to them, it's going to make you teleport, and you're going to lose your flurry stacks as well. And wormholes are as good as landmines. If you step in one and you get ported, you lose all of your flurry stacks in that scenario as well, even if you have your epiphany up. So, there's a lot of things to pay attention to here. The first thing you have to pay attention to is your convention of the elements cycle, because you gotta go in cold. The next thing you have to pay attention to is your spirit. You can't let it go full until like halfway through physical or at the very beginning of cold. So you have to constantly monitor that and use your mantra to adjust your spirit level to the right level. Then you have to look on the actual screen, and you have to avoid trees and armadons and things like that. You also have to look on your screen to avoid wormhole, and you also have to look at your screen to maneuver through the map and drag everything forward. Oh, and by the way, one more thing. Remember, you got to pay attention to your epiphany timer and your serenity timer. You need to use them back and forth so you don't get CC'd. It's very difficult in a 15-minute Greater Rift to do all of those things perfectly all the time. If you watch closely on this run, I make several mistakes. But as long as you can get the big atomic bombs and do all of that right, let's say, 80% of the time, it's good enough to get these tremendous, tremendous hits. As you see me shaking my head there as that went horribly wrong for me, for example. You get these tremendous bombs of damage that are very satisfying to unleash. This build is very good at clearing the rift. It's also very good on the Guardian. You're going to see we dispatch the Guardian with no pylon, with really no problem at all. So I didn't mean to spend half of this rift essentially terrifying you of trying this build. That wasn't exactly my intention, but I do want you to know that it is definitely not hold right click and win. You really, really have to be good at paying attention to a bunch of little things in order to play this properly. So when I was explaining this to people in my stream, they said, well, do you have to take Shenlongs to manage the spirit and do all of this correctly? No, you don't. You could take Istvan's set, which is Little Rogue and Slanderer. You are gonna lose several tiers of damage by doing it, but it is an option for you if the Shenlongs is just too hard to play. But the goal is to use Shenlongs and get the most value out of this build. All right, so that was a long time talking about the build. Let's see how we can finish up this rift. We had a Hell Rift in the beginning, which is nothing amazing, but we have a what is this? A Summoner Charger? No, this is Small Spider. No, it's Summoner Charger Festering, which is amazing. And we had a Conduit at the beginning, and we have a Speed on the right side. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I completely forgot about the Speed. I should have taken it, but I completely forgot about it. I just saw the Conduit, and I knew that was going to be enough. One thing I've noticed about the Monk clones, which is a little bit different from the Demon Hunter clones that I showed you in my other video, they just aren't as strong. And I tested the Wizard clones, and the Wizard clones are even worse. So I actually sent a little spreadsheet to Blizzard, and I showed them like some of the different stats and some of the different videos and like the damage levels of the different clones, and they seem very, very uneven. We need to learn more about this and why this is happening. But because of that, I'm not really relying on my clones to do anything for me. In fact, my clones pretty much don't do anything for me. I only click the one conduit in the whole rift, and the conduit just kills everything itself. So this run is pretty much completely brought to you by the 4th cube slot and Shenlongs. I didn't use the Shadow clones really for anything at all. So all I need to do with this conduit pylon is kill as much of this little trash as possible. So here comes hopefully a very big hit. I've got 89 stacks. I blind, and boom, there they go. Conduit pylons have a maximum number of targets that they can hit. So if you have a zillion trash mobs by elites, it's only going to zap the little itty bitty trash, and you're not going to kill anything. So I just need to kill the little itty bitty trash here. One more bomb. Perfect, there it went, and now the conduit will hopefully clean up the rest of this for us very nicely. And I think this build is a lot of fun to play. The biggest problem for me with this build is sometimes Shenlongs does not activate even if you're at full spirit. I think this is feedback that Blizzard has gotten. If they fix just this one buff, God, this build would be so much better and greatly improved. But yeah, this is one of the builds that benefits the most, I would say, from the 4th cube slot. Picking up a 350% multiplier is pretty ridiculous. It pretty much doesn't get better than that. So I'm expecting Patterns of Justice Tempest Rush to do very, very big things and be one of the highest clearing builds in the entire game. It probably won't beat Bomb Satyr, and it probably won't beat God DH, but other than that, I would not be surprised if it got 3rd place. Let's head down here and let's zap down the rest of the elites. They're vortexing me. I don't care. I have a conduit pylon. There's nothing they can do about it. Pick up the orbs, and we have Cold Snap. Same thing as always. This is probably the easiest to see because there's nothing going on. So I need to spam my mantra so my spirit doesn't go off yet. Now I'd like it to go full and activate my Shenlongs. Shenlongs, you can see the buff right there. It didn't activate even though I was at full spirit for like 5 straight seconds. That's the bug that they need to fix. I'm building my stacks, I'm spamming my mantra. I don't want it to go full yet. I'd like it to go full right now. Need my spirit to go full. There's Shenlongs in the blind. We hit Cold Snap pretty hard there as we continue to build our Stricken. So our spirit's going up and up and up. It's near the top. I make a mistake. I didn't spam my mantra enough. It drains all my spirit. My Tempest Rush falls off, so this hit is going to do absolutely nothing. So I do a little baby hit to Cold Snap because I made a mistake. And now let's try to fix it again. So I build up my Tempest Rush stacks. I don't want it to be full until we get close to cold. So here comes physical. Halfway through, I can let it go up now. And then we're going to blind and detonate. Bam, there went half of his health. It's amazing the power of this build when everything goes right. 1 or 2 more of these, and that should be the end of Cold Snap. All I have to say to him is sayonara. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I will have a bunch of guides for all the best builds in Season 22 coming, and we'll keep testing everything on the PTR and trying to take as many rank 1s as we can. Thank you.